7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you want news and information, one of the best places to go in America is the Epoch Times. Tonight we have with us a tremendous writer and as well a very knowledgeable person regarding 5G and the Belt Road initiatives of Communist China. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce and some present to others a senior correspondent for Epoch Times, none other than Nan Su. Good evening, sir. It's a tremendous honor and pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Oh, hi, Ken. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Hey, good evening, audience.
Listen, you devastated me at CPAC, dude. You really did when you started talking about 5G and why we should be slightly concerned about the implementation of 5G through Huawei. First and foremost, before we get into all of that, you write for the Epoch Times, Nansu. Why the Epoch Times? Why not the Washington Post or the New York Times?
Well, I think China is definitely one of the most important issues facing us. It's a really a threat. Uh, it's I call Chinese government the threat to humanity in the entire history of mankind. This communist regime right now in this period in the current time of our history. So I think that's very important. And that's why I chose to work for Epoch Times. The Epoch Times established around 2000 and 2001 by any government to make sure the free information in and out of China. So that's why I joined this group.
Now, it's very difficult to get news and information out of China. How difficult it is for you to do your job on a daily basis.
Well, Chinese government is doing everything they are able to hold down the information, to hide the information, and everything they talk about and everything they do, it's purpose, and that's to keep the ruling power of the regime. And if we talk about coronavirus. The Chinese government has been really trying every way possible to hide the true information from the public in China as well as the international society. That's why we are facing such a huge scale outbreak around the world. If Chinese government really trying to control this in the first day they have this problem, we wouldn't even have such a big scale of outbreak around the world. I
Exactly.
think this is right.
You speak to the fact that there is a propensity for the Chinese government to withhold information even when it is a tremendous danger to the world. Yet there's some progressives and leftists here that blame Donald Trump for the coronavirus spread. Uh, is that ignorance? Is that maliciousness? What exactly is that?
Well, I think President Trump has done an absolutely right thing to cut off a lot of flights from China. Uh, this is has nothing to do with a humanity issue. I mean, American first. American safety goes first. If we're not able to protect the safety of this country, then we will not be able to help any Chinese society, will not be able to help Chinese people. I mean, Chinese people and Chinese regime are two different things that we need to we need to help the Chinese people. We need to provide any humanitarian support to Chinese people if possible. But however, we need to protect American safety first. And I think that's what President did, and it was absolutely right move. But however, unfortunately, we're just not on such a kind of a scale of a pandemic. Our federal government tried the best they are able to, but it's still right now. It looks like the outbreak is still coming to the United States. That's a
Ex-
sad part.
exactly. There are those who think that a communist nation, especially since Bernie Sanders is running, he's a communist for the president of the United States. There are people who would think that in the image of Bernie Sanders, that's how communism works. Just a kind old man who is a little crazy and, trying to do the best and redistributing wealth. Can you describe communism in China for the American people?
Well, communism. First of all, there's a lot of people don't understand the difference between communist country and socialist country. When I ask people, do you think China is a communist country and or a socialist country, people coming to me with a different answers. But it really, the answer it really depends on the definition. You can say China is a communist country, or you can say China is a socialist country. It really depends on the definition that you are going to go with. We traditionally say whichever the country is under the rule of a communist party, a communist country. So by that definition, it's okay to call China it's a communist country because China is still under the rule of a communist party. But however, when we grew up in China, we have been always been told that we were a socialist country. China it was and is still a socialist country. Why is that? Because they go by the classical definition from Karl Marx. And
Mm,
basically, Karl Marx said the communist stage of the world will actually not come until each and every country in the whole world all becomes socialist country. And then all the socialist country will all come together and set a day and time and all move forward to the communist stage of the world, and that is the only way to move to a communist stage of the world. And the reason for that is really because communist stage of the world, it's a world without any government, without any military, uh, because government or military or police authorities, those are the things considered as by Karl Marx as apparatus used by one social class to rule any other social classes. And by the stage of the communist war, it's here, because supposedly everyone is absolutely equal already. So therefore, there's social class. So therefore, there's no need for the government. That's per the Karl Marx.
mm-hmm.
And of course, no commercial activities, no private ownership, no private properties, and no families, because the families is also considered by Karl Marx. It's a result of private ownership. So if you go by that definition, China is still a socialist country. So basically, it's just a different stage
Mm-hmm.
of the political process. It depends which one you go by. You can call China a communist country, or you can call China a socialist country.
But the whole idea for communism is for all of the socialist countries to unite as one world order under a
That
police
is
state.
correct.
Okay.
Uh, by the idealism itself, there is no police anymore because everyone, by the time it's already awakened, I don't know how it's going to happen. It's people, so they don't need the police anymore. I mean, people don't have this kind of bad part of the human nature anymore. So I don't know how that's going to happen. That is the question never answered by Karl Marx.
Exactly. Never answered. But you use the term there in your description in terms of the awakening, when people are awakened. And there are people who are walking around talking about being woke. I'm woke. Um, I don't think Americans are woke to what Huawei and 5G is all about. Can you first express to us exactly what 5G is and why Huawei is such a danger to the world?
Well, Huawei 5G is a technology that's going to be hundreds of times, a few hundred, maybe even thousand times. Somebody say quicker and faster than 4G. So if you think about 2G technology, will allow us to make text from one to each other, and the 3G will allow us to download the music. 4G will allow us to really watch movies. It's hundreds and even thousand times faster than 4G, which will allow the driverless cars, and then which will allow a lot of other things to take place, like 5G now right now in going on in China is they got like a facial recognition going on. So in the 5G world, because of the facial recognition, that if you go out from the building, if you want to say order Uber, right now you have to pull out your cell phone and then use the software to make the order. But 5G, because it's with facial recognition, all you need to do, you walk up the building, you raise your hand, and then you say, "I need a Uber." That's it. That 5G network will do everything for you because they realize your face, and they know who you are. They have your credit card information. They will send the car to you. So if a regime, I mean, even I would imagine if we as American, if we try to implement 5G technology network in this free country, we will have a lot of legal challenges. But not to
Yes.
mention China, man, China, they will basically just not just own your cell phone or your car, they will own you basically because they know who you are, and then if you criticize the government, well, what's waiting for you? What's coming? It's not a Uber. What's coming? It's going to be a police car, right?
Exactly. That that is freaking scary for us. The whole idea of facial recognition. Can you give us an example of how facial recognition works uh, and why we
Well,
should be?
facial,
Yeah, go right ahead.
yeah, facial recognition. Chinese government still it's already in use of the facial recognition, right? You ever saw this facial recognition eyeglasses that's being used by the police officers in China? They have these it look like just a typical sunglasses, but except the function is a little different than sunglasses. One side of the the glasses is just normal as you're wearing sunglasses. Another one, it's connected to a handheld computer, and now when that side of the glasses look at any person, then it will automatically take the facial recognition of that person, the face's feature, and the input to the handheld computer. It takes only 3 seconds to have the computer have a feedback, tell you the social credit score of that person to the police officer that's watching you. So three
Wow.
seconds Yeah, right now it's in use. I mean, that's how the police China is a police state. The officers, police officers, right now they are doing that. So they just standing on the street, and then it doesn't look they'll cause any harm, but they are looking at each person passing by, and then they look at the social credit score. They know who they are going after.
Wow. So, how effective is that facial recognition? If I were to leave a police station, how long would it take for them to find me, or if I committed a crime or whatever?
Well, in November, I believe it was either November or December of 2017, there was a BBC reporter. Somehow he convinced the Chinese Public Safety Bureau, that's the police department agency in China. They say, well, let's try to figure out how fast your facial recognition and all your technology system is going to work. So try to catch me. So they actually run a test. So that basically they recognize their BBC reporter's face, and they have the memory, and then they let him go. So he took on a bus, and then he got on the bus, and then he just randomly choose any station that can, and then he will, he leave the bus. So he pick up one station, he left the bus, and he start walking towards to a train station, right? So he basically he got off the bus, and then he walked to the train station. It only took from the time he left the bus until the police officers came to the train station to arrest him. He counted total 7 minutes, and that's
Se-
2017. Right now, it's going to be a lot faster.
7 minutes of finding someone.
That's all right. 7 minutes.
Now, is there any stop to facial recognition or 5G technology? Will it go into your personal home? And what are the risks behind that?
Said again. I didn't try.
Well,
Your voice was a little broken, so I didn't follow the question.
I apologize. Um, Taking 5G into your home, what are the risks?
Uh, there are rumors that the 5G the wave can cause some sort of health issues, but I have the health experts. They say actually it's not true. So at this point, I'm not a technology expert. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if there will be any negative health effects on fixing 5G. But we really don't have a choice. China already has a 5G, so we will either have the same thing that China has, or if we don't want 5G, we have to come up with something better than 5G. So, and we better be quick because this is an issue of national security.
exactly. Is there a potential for spying in people's homes with 5G technology?
Well, if the entire network it's controlled by somebody like Huawei, a company that's totally controlled by Chinese communist regime, then of course they can watch you, right? If they can do like a facial recognition in 3 seconds on the street, I mean, when they connect your network and everything you do, it's going to be, it's all in front of them, right? They, especially if you are criticizing China, you are the reporter like me, you are going to write an article negative about the Chinese regime. You better watch out. So
See,
they're watching you.
exactly. And even states like the U.S. can find themselves curious enough to spy on Americans using that technology. And I think we need to all be a little questionable in terms of its implementation. I'm going to have you come back in a few weeks and talk about some of the other risks, but I wanted to get to one other thing before you have to go. Um, the Belt Road Initiative by China, and why African nations, Latin American nations, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and even Europe should be concerned about the Belt Road Project.
Well, Bell and Roll of project, basically you have to understand that it's an infrastructure project. It's not about technology. It's really the infrastructure project. And the reason the Chinese government tried to do that is because you have to understand in the last 40 years, China has been really growing fast on its economy with a government-driven investment machine. So they build way too much bridges and airports, roads, buildings, public facilities. So right now, China's economy is going down, and then China, it's just, they need to find the job opportunities for their construction workers, for the industry that's manufacturing steel, cement, and all the construction materials. And so that's why they came up this idea of Belt and Road Initiative. Basically, they go everywhere, basically around the world. They say, if you don't have money, especially for the poor countries, not necessarily the poor countries like Italy, even Italy joined the Belt and Road Initiative. I don't know what Italy is going, it's joining, what's there for them. So basically they say, well, we will, if you don't have money, we will come in, we will build the bridges for you, we'll build airports, freeways, and public facilities for you without any investment from your country. So what they do is they'll come in because they will have tons of cements and steels, construction materials, and they will come in, bring with all these materials, and then they will also come in with construction companies. It doesn't really create any local job, but they will bring their own construction companies and employees, so they will do it for you. And by the time they're leaving your country, what's going to left to the government of the country, it's called the what we call that debt trap diplomacy. It's a huge debt. So basically, after they leave your country, it's owned by Chinese government. So they will tell you what to do because you are in the big debt, and you don't have a job opportunity in the whole process, and also you are going to live with a bunch of debt, and then you are workers without job, any job training, and then the people and the young people still without any education and wherever. But your life is more convenient because you have a lot of bridges, a lot of airports, and freeways. But without education, without any new job opportunity, so that's what's going to happen. And Chinese government really become the boss of your country.
Wow. Wow. Final question for you tonight. It's out of our chat roll. Dave Milner has it for you. Can you describe and explain what is the social credit scoring system?
Well, the social credit score system, well, it's really the political score that's their focus on. It's like if you have any well, there are something like if you are normal behavior, if you ever
Yeah.
commit a crime or those things, it's not really what the government focus on. The score, the social credit score in China, if you ever criticize the government, if you any speak publicly against any government policy, if you criticize the Chinese Communist Party, your credit score is going to go down the hill or to the bottom. So that's what they really going after. So they really trying to identify any elements that's in society that's going to pose the threat to the stability of the ruling power of Chinese regime. That's what this is so-called, nice name social credit score it's about.
Wow. They're grading you on whether you want freedom or not. And the more free you want to be, the more of a threat you are to your government.
And that is correct. Chinese government definitely don't like people to have any religious freedom, any freedom of speech. They don't want any freedom of press in their society. They don't want people to have any freedom of assembly. I mean, unless you are assembled together to praise the government, right? And
Yeah.
of course, they don't want the Chinese people to have any right to make a grievance against the government. I mean, that's the five things protected Americans in the First Amendment. None of them, Chinese government want the Chinese people to have.
Nansu, you keep doing what you do because you are tremendous at doing it. Listen, we want you to come back in a few weeks. We want to get updates on the Belt Road, 5G, and so many other things that you're writing about from China. How can people read your stuff in the meantime?
I think they can send an email to you, or they can send an email to me, Nansu. That's NANSU, 5 letters altogether. epochtimes.myc. New York City, a short term for New York City, NYC. Epoch, EPOCH, epochtimes.myc. So Nansu at epochtimes.myc. Welcome all the questions about anything about China.
Awesome. Nansu, you are awesome. We really appreciate you, and we thank you for all that you do for the Epic Times and for America. God bless you, sir. We'll be talking with you real soon.
Thank you, Ken. You have a good night.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nansu. I am telling you, we should be really fearful that many people are not prepared for the communist pursuit of one world order. Don't think, ladies and gentlemen, that it's just a Bernie Sanders, nice professor kind of thing. Nah, it's deeper than that. And for all of you nations around the world, Uganda, Nigeria, heck, Italy, Guyana, all of you nations around the world who are giving in to China, you might want to rethink your thinking because China is not playing. When they bring a gift, they're taking a country with them. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after this message. You're watching the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. This is a Republic, TECN TV. It's covering the elections, ladies and gentlemen. And as well, you can find us on the exceptionalconservativeshow.com, TECN TV. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages.
I love you, Schmoopy.
I love you, Pickles.
We are totally on our honeymoon.